I talk about Obsidian a lot. Like, a lot. But that doesn't mean that I use Obsidian all the time for all of my note taking, and I think it comes off as slightly disingenuous when I look at my YouTube channel. I'm like, look, there's loads of Obsidian stuff, but I don't actually use it all the time. I think this is one of those things about YouTube, and when you look at a YouTube creator's channel, you can make assumptions, and I would make the assumption that I like Obsidian, which I do, but there are limitations to the app that I don't necessarily talk about in all videos because it's not applicable. For example, I recently had a discussion inside of the Obsidian Discord about when I don't use Obsidian, and they were like, oh, I haven't seen you talk about that. And that's because I don't really need to. But when I'm working with other people, i.e. other people, other content creators, writers, researchers, or anything like that, that aren't familiar with Obsidian, it's way easier to use Notion. Do I do my research in Notion? Hell no. Because that just doesn't work with Zotero and all the other tools that I use, which obviously on the channel, blah, 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 content stuff. But when I'm working with someone, i.e., hey, can you have a look at this draft script, or can you look at this research, it's far easier just to do Control-A, Control-C to copy an Obsidian and paste it in a Notion page somewhere for them to read, and then just, well, normally they just say, yeah, that's great, or can you look at this a little bit more? They don't actually go through and comment like editors do for the books, but yeah, it's easier in Notion. And in a similar sense, when I'm doing research, a lot of the time when I'm sharing research, I'm using Zotero, not Obsidian. So when I was working with James Janney, a content creator, he had never used a reference manager before. So I went into Zotero, we used a collection in there, and we were going through items and PDFs and highlighting stuff, but that was all Zotero. There was literally no Obsidian use there. It was just, okay, let's bring it in, do the highlighty stuff, and then take it out and put it into the script, because he was using Google Docs and Word and Notion. I was just using Obsidian, I'm keeping it simple, but he was using 3 different word processors. I was using one, but the easiest way to collaborate on the research was through Zotero, not Obsidian. Which kind of gets me to the point of making this video, is like, as a content creator, when you make stuff, I don't know what other term to use there. YouTuber doesn't sound right, but content creator is also a bit, I don't know, nah. But as someone that follows channels, you see a video and you go, I'm going to watch that video because it looks interesting for whatever reason. You don't then watch all the other videos that creator makes, because attention economy and information, disinformation and all that sort of stuff, and you don't watch all the videos. And the proportion of videos on my channel is obviously skewed Obsidian, because there is more to talk about with Obsidian that could be content worthy. Like, I'm not going to make the same video about this is how you make tags inside of Zotero, this is how you organize Zotero. I'm not going to make that video like 20 times. It's kind of pointless. But in Obsidian you can say, look at this plugin, look at that plugin, look at this combination of plugins, look at the way that I've done this canvas or that canvas. Do I use all of those things? No. That's kind of where the BS comes into content creation online when it comes to my videos and software anyway. I use the thing for however long it's useful for, and then I move on. So when I get questions about setups or plugins that I haven't touched in a couple of months, or in some cases now in a year, I'm like, I don't know, I stopped using that thing. But YouTube, you wouldn't know that I've stopped using it unless you watch the new videos. But if you watch the new videos, you may not get the full context. So it's like, where do you even start? I've spoken about the collaboration with other writers and researchers, but when I'm collaborating, put in like quotey marks-ish there, with other people that are, oh, my computer's going off, there we go. Where was I? Oh yeah, with other people that are audience members or want to get involved in the research. I used to do that with Obsidian Publish. Now, Obsidian Publish is great, don't get me wrong, but it's somewhat expensive when you compare it to something like Google Sites, where you don't have to pay anything added from what you're already paying with Google. And on Google Sites, managing the images and the moving things around and the look of stuff, the theme and all that, it's just slightly easier. And when it comes to pushing stuff onto Google, again, it's somewhat easier and people can navigate it better. Caveat there, of course, I'm only speaking from who I've spoken to, and when I've spoken to my parents, who are not software engineering, codey, anything, no, they're like, my mum works in a post office and my dad's a driving examiner, like, they don't do anything on tech. When I spoke to them, what would you prefer to navigate as a website, Google Sites or an Obsidian Publish page? I changed the Publish page loads of different ways, and they just said, oh, the Google Sites one looks nicer. What does that mean? I don't know. But for them, the Google Sites looked nicer. And when I'm trying to collaborate with other people, audience members, viewers, etc., on source docs, specifically is my use case, then Google Sites just seems to make more sense. One, financially, and also User experience. Now, could I customize Obsidian Publish to look like Google Sites? Yes, that's a lot of upfront work, that's CSS coding, that's just effort I don't want to put in. Let's just be real, I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. And speaking about being lazy, I think this is a good time to talk about Obsidian and the mobile app. Do I use Obsidian on my mobile? Yes, but rarely. My uses of Obsidian on mobile are what I would class as practical uses, not the note-taking uses, if that's not really going to make much sense. So I use Obsidian on my phone to look at my meal planning canvas. I go on my canvas and then I zoom in. I'm like, what am I eating today? That's what I'm eating. That's what I'm eating. Or supposed to be. It doesn't actually mean I actually do it, but that's what I'm supposed to be eating. That's what I plan to eat. So when it comes to the end of the week, hopefully I haven't run out of food. Then, when I was in Berlin for the Berlin conference about ecological psychology, I also used my phone to take notes because it's far easier just to have your phone up and just write notes down in Obsidian. Why am I doing that? Write notes down in Obsidian, and I didn't need a laptop or an iPad or anything like that. It was just writing on my phone and taking a picture when I needed to and putting it into the file. So I use it for that. But when it comes to quick capture, like I've come out of the shower and I'm going to take a quick note, or I just want to take a quick note while I put my head down to go to sleep and think, oh, that's a really good idea, or oh, that's something I should probably do. I'm not using Obsidian for that. For that, I'm using Morgan, which is my calendar app. Or it's not even a calendar app, it's a time management app because it's a task app, a calendar app, and a scheduling tool. So it's kind of like all three in one. Is it great at any of those things? No, I would probably say it's a solid 8 for all three. Like, Todoist is a better task manager, Calendly is a better scheduling app, and from a calendar perspective, there are loads of calendars that have loads of other features, but when you try and put all three together that work, Morgan is what I found to be the best. And is the Morgan mobile app good? Questionable, but it's good enough to just add a note in, add a task, and then add a subtask or add a project, which is what I use Morgan for, time managing all the projects and stuff. Is it good enough for that? Yes. Can I see my calendar on it? Yes. Do I use the widget? No. Because I use the Google Calendar widget because Google Calendar is in Morgan. I think it's also worth noting that Obsidian is an app in this sort of like big PKM knowledge management information learning thing of a community ecosystem stuff, very technical terms there, and there are lots of conversations that happen that I don't put in videos because I don't think it fits in the video. I'm going to do a video about this Obsidian plugin. It doesn't really make sense to talk about the Para book or the BASB book or Ali's book or anything else that's going on in this sort of sphere of learning-y science stuff. But of course, those conversations are very appropriate when it comes to applying the things that I'm sort of showing in Obsidian to the real world. Like, do you want to be taking notes on everything, atomic notes, Zettelkasten, and all those sorts of things? Do you want to be talking about that stuff in a video about a plugin? No. Do I want to talk about the stuff? Yeah. Previously, I've done it on a podcast. Maybe I do it in videos off the cuff, kind of like this. But that's where I get to the comments that I saw recently on the Ali Abdul sort of like behind the scenes conversation. That was a conversation. We were just having a conversation. And because Ali was just sat there doing his thing, like when he's having a conversation, he didn't look like he was presenting to the camera, which is where the, hey, this is the YouTuber presenting, and hey, this is the real person presenting. They're different people a lot of the time. For me, when I'm talking in my Obsidian videos, I deliberately slow down. I'm deliberately very specific with the words I choose to use because I pause and then carry on. Whereas when I'm just talking, I'm like this, I'm just talking. Ali, on the other hand, is a little bit more relaxed in person than he is on camera, because on camera he tries to present a little bit for the camera. Obviously, he's got an audience. So when you see a video that he's not doing the performance thing, it looks like he's not engaged, which maybe he's not engaged. I don't know, but the conversation, for me, was good. We had things going backwards and forwards and that sort of stuff. And when I have these sorts of conversations with the camera, I'm worried, am I being too much me? Obviously, that's like a really parasocial first world problem. Am I being too much of a me? Am I speaking too fast? Because I don't think I'm speaking too fast. Yes. Sorry. Knock at the door interruption, where was I? Oh yeah, so do I want to be doing the I'm going to talk to a camera about the things that are interesting that may be interesting to the other people in this community, or do I just stick to the, hey, here's the how-to stuff? You can see I'm having a bit of an internal dilemma. Do I post this? Do I not post this? Is it just an audio journal that I keep to myself? I don't know. I do want to extend onto that. I've seen people talking about the YouTubers that are reducing their workload, they're reducing what they're doing. Most people don't know all the stuff that I do, but I love YouTube. I'm going to keep doing YouTube, even the channels that literally no one knows about, because I just post the videos on there, because I enjoy making videos and I enjoy looking back at the videos for feedback of my own learning. So will I post it? Probably. Will I stop YouTube? No. Will I change? Of course, because we all do. So my question is, do I want this channel to continue being the, hey, here's the how to Obsidian thing, or do I want to continue talking about topics that are interesting to me and to the Obsidian PKM note-taking research, insert all the other jargony buzzword terms in there world? That's the question.